This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and together we are your KTAR car guys. Heard every Saturday from 11 to noon, and at Bumper to Bumper Radio, we're helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car experience. So if you got car questions, we've got car answers, and we encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us at 411-923. And today on the Bumper to Bumper roadmap, of course, we're going to have fact or fiction. At least we talk about it. We don't always do it. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Matt, you better come up with something quick. And then, of course, open phones and taking your text. And filters, and more filters. You know there's a lot of filters on your car, and it seems like every time you go to the auto shop, they're trying to sell you another filter. And so we want to put you in the know as far as when you need filters, what are the expectations for filters. Is that working?
I think it is. Is it?
Sounds a little off. So, but, there we go. Now you're in.
Am I on? There we go. That wasn't me, guys. Wasn't me. My buttons were pushed, although we do have a red light burned out over here. But, Anyway. So, yeah, the filters, I mean, everybody knows they have an oil filter, but the rules of filters have changed. We have filters in cars now that, they just started putting in 15 years ago. We have cars that have filters that you would normally change every 15,000 miles or once a year. They don't even have them anymore. So let's just go through the rundown. You want to do that, Dave? I mean, you got an oil filter.
Let me go the one that everybody recognizes, the old air filter, okay? You stop by the XYZ tire shop, you're getting an oil change, and guess what? Some young kid's going to run up with an air filter in his hands and say, oh, look how dirty that is. You need one of those. So that's the air filter for the engine. So the engine ingests air for combustion, and it's got to run it through a filter. And that filter is super important, but that's the first one that people get recommended. So I think that's the one that everybody relates to is the air filter. That's just one of a handful of filters that are on your car.
Right.
So the air filter is probably one you can all relate to. Matt, how often do you need an air filter?
Well, I mean, the conditions depend. It depends on where you drive, how you drive. I mean, if you're working on the ranch, so to speak, or you go out to the sand dunes a lot and you're hauling and going off road and stuff, you probably need one more often. But typically speaking, we're talking to people who are commuting to work, driving around town, using their car in the metropolitan area. It's once a year.
Average Joe or average Judy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like us, just average dudes driving around. It's once a year to change it. Not to check it.
Well, this brings me to a vehicle that I had in my shop this week. And this lady comes to my shop. She was in another auto repair shop. She's got some crazy noise in her car. She's a Jeep Patriot. I think it was maybe probably a 14. About 37,000 miles on it. And when it hit a certain RPM, it would make this crazy noise. And so she went over to the other shop. They looked at it, and they said, we think the mounts might be bad. But it's only got 37,000 miles on it. But you know what? It kind of sounds weird enough. We want you to go over to Tri-City Transmission because maybe you have a transmission type issue. Let's see what they think about it. Well, she brought it over to us, and I jumped in the car and went for a drive with her. And I drove it with her for 15 minutes before I made this noise happen. And it was a weird little noise. And she goes, there it is, right there. I go, that's weird. I go, this one's going to be interesting to find. So I dropped her off at her house, went back. John and I jumped in the car, and we drove this car. And literally it probably took us 3 hours to figure out what this was. And what we found was on the air box where the air filter lives, when she was into the prior tire shop, when they did the oil change, they checked her air filter. Well, they left a couple of screws loose.
Right.
So it was not only sucking air at weird times, it was bypassing the filter, so just sucking in unfiltered air, which is not good for your engine. It was also rattling, and on some of those Chryslers, they put the computer right on top of the airbox. So it's kind of an integrated thing. And so basically what we had to do is they stripped out a couple holes. They left a couple of screws loose. We had to find some oversized screws and move some things around. We were able to fix it for her, and at the end of the day, she came in with this big eyeballs like, I'm going to need a transmission. transmission, and she left with, it was a $98 charge to find some loose screws.
And you gave her a gift too. People would think, if you really charged for the time that you had to
it would have cost way more than that.
You would have been a rip, But that gets back to, the story's a little bit about checking the air filter, but it's a lot about how we got to the point where it became a problem. So, and maybe it was the guys at the tire shop that didn't put the box on right, or maybe they left the screw out because the guy before them broke it and left the screw out, so they just returned it to the way it was. But this kind of goes back to being an orphan customer. What I said in the beginning is you don't have to check that air filter every time.
No.
First off, a lot of these things are a real pain in the butt to change.
Mm-hmm.
Let's wait till we need to have Jason, our tribologist oil guy, come in and talk about how much just a little bit of dirt getting past the air filter, how that can really get into the oil and affect the oil.
Yep.
I didn't believe it until he really showed me the data, the facts.
Under a microscope. Yeah. It's a big deal.
Big time big deal. And then so if you're an orphan, nobody ever knows the history of that air filter, and you probably don't either. But if you come to our shops on a regular basis, we know your service history. So we're not going to take that air filter box. You can only bend a paper clip so many times. Mm-hmm. And it breaks. And there's a lot of things on these air filter boxes. That's not just the air filter box, but then there's a snorkel that connects it to maybe the mass airflow sensor.
These things are plastic, and there's clips, and they're not exactly. Your Breville juice maker. They're just kind of junky.
Yeah.
And so what happens is
cheap.
They're not cheap, and there's a seal there, and every time you disturb that seal, all that dust and crap. When you change the air filter at home in your house, dust and crap gets around. Well, some of that gets into the air box, which gets in the engine. So here's my deal, and I'm just going to take it. If you're average Joe or average Judy, okay, you're not going through the Baja, then just change it once a year. Don't, I would just almost put a sticker right on top of my airbags that says, "Don't check filter."
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't need to check it. Just change it once in a year, and you'll be fine. Because every time you rupture that, you do a little something to it.
Well, Dave, and I had a gentleman the other day. I said, and we checked his air filter, and he was a first-time customer. And I said, you don't really need it now. He says, well, can you just bang all the whoa. And I said, no. He says, whoa, why not? I said, no, that's not. That's worse. When you're banging that or wrapping it against your hand or banging it on the curb, you're just embedding those particles deeper into the filter, which more possibly allows them to pass through the filter. So if you're doing this at home, if you're the guy that changes your oil and changes your filter, don't knock it on the ground and clean it out. You're doing yourself a disservice. And the other thing you need to do, a lot of the car's sucking in air, it hits the filter gets dirty, but then the big stuff drops. You've got to vacuum that air box out too. Don't just put a new filter in it. Mm-hmm. You got to clean that out.
Well, and if you're doing it at home, changing your air filter for your AC, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're cleaning off the vents, you're wiping it out, you're doing all that stuff. That's the way it should be done, but that's not happening at, Joe Jiffy lived down there.
Right.
They're just, you got a young kid in there working, and I tell you what, you almost got to have a degree from MIT to get some of these air boxes back together.
Yeah. And, the engineers that designed them forgot that we're not engineers.
Yeah, and then Jimmy on the spot here is trying to get back together, and he doesn't have all those tricks that a guy's been doing it for 20 years.
He's got to hurry up because the next one's out there waiting in line.
That's true.
Well, let's talk about some other filters. So I was going to start with the oil filter. Duh, that's the most obvious. We're changing that every time we get an oil change. 5,000 miles is pretty much the most popular oil change right now. You're getting a filter when you do that. Cabin air filter, Dave, same thing. It's a lot like the engine air filter. It's pretty much once a year.
It's a once-a-year deal. Some people don't know they have one, and what happens, and this is a big thing, you're driving around, your air condition feels wimpy, and you haven't got a cabin air filter in 2 years. Go buy one, and you'll be impressed because the airspeed comes up because it's been slowing down as that filter's been getting dirtier. And airspeed is what makes you feel cool. Change out that cabin filter, be like, man, I just turbocharged my AC.
That's right. Well, and then let's break down the cabin air filters a little bit. There's going to be some times that change. My shop's in the central Phoenix area. Not a lot of houses down there have garages. A lot of carports, and they have the little Palo Verde trees. So when you open your hood, and when you go to the car wash next time, before you go, open the hood and look at the base of the windshield where the windshield wipers are and get all the leaves and that junk out of there because that's getting sucked in to the cabin air filter. So if you don't have a garage or you go to work and you want to go find the shady spot under the tree, you might need your cabin air filter a little more often. And now not only are the cabin air filters, it's just a paper element, but now they have them charcoal activated. So for those that are sensitive to perfumes and other odors, because remember, we're filtering dirt, and debris, but we're also at times filtering the outside air. So that if you're a person that's sensitive to allergies, and we'll ask you that, if there's a carbon filter available for your cabin, we'll put one of those in. Do you have your dog in the car a lot? These are some of the times where you might need to do your filter a little bit more often. So the environmental conditions are what dictate a lot of this. And Dave, we've got to get to,
let's talk about fuel filters, because that one's changed, right? That's a huge one that's changed, is that everyone remembers their fuel filter. You got one every 30,000 miles. Mm-hmm. They just don't even put them on the car anymore. There's no fuel filters. So if you're over at Acme and you got a late model car and they say you got to change your fuel filter, go, are you sure?
Well, and sometimes, or they're just built into the pump and they're part of the.
They get changed with the pump.
They get changed with the pump. It's like that lifetime transmission fluid. You just change it when you put the new transmission. But we've got a couple other filters we'll get to. Most of the time, your filters will not leave you broken down on the side of the road. But I can guarantee you that a bad battery will leave you stuck, looking like a schmuck, with a pair of jumper cables in your hand, or else looking for that road service card, calling your insurance, begging for a jump start.
Oh, you know how many unhappy people I run into this time of year? I mean, when they come in, they usually got their tie wrapped around their neck, and they got dirt all over their sleeves because they're opening the hood and messing all of that dirty stuff, and their battery's dead, and they needed to be somewhere important. And you can decide when you buy a battery, or your car can decide for you when it buys a battery. That's why at our shop we test every battery that comes through the door, and if it's weak or wimpy or it's older than 2 years old and it's on the fritz, we tell you, hey, it's time for an Interstate Battery. We stock all the Interstate models, and if we don't have one, it's readily available down the street from our Interstate distributor. And we've been using Interstate batteries for years, and I've been in the car business now for well over 20 years, and pretty much every shop I have worked at has carried Interstate. Mm-hmm. And the reason I like the Interstate thing is that there's nothing worse than buying something than going out of town and it dies and you can't get it warrantied anywhere. Interstate, coast to coast. I mean, all the shops that I've ever worked in carry Interstate batteries. So if you're in the market for a battery, stop into a bumper-to-bumper shop and pick yourself up an Interstate battery. So anyhow, when we come back, we're taking phone calls at 602-277-5827. We're going to get to your seat filter. I bet you didn't know you had one of those. And then we'll talk about your transmission filter. You listen to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys, on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
Having an accident is stressful. Dealing with the repair process shouldn't be. Hi, Leo Petrozella for Campus Body Salon. The right to choose a repair facility is yours, not the insurance company's. We work with all insurance companies, but we work for you. Campus Body Salon, Bumper to Bumper Radio approved and independently family owned and operated since 1973. Check out our Cash for Your Crash program where we pay you 10% off of your repair up to $1,000. Campus Body Salon, the best care in collision repair.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
That's our closing line, Pops.
I know, Jeff. Just reinforcing that we're full-service auto repair.
At Kurt's Auto Repair, we do it all, including diesel. We have the passion, training, equipment, and expertise for diesel. Our techs are ASE certified for diesel and advanced diesel diagnostics. Toy hauling, horse trailering, off-roading, or work trucking, we've got you covered.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's. Check us out at mycarhurts.com.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
As soon as the intro music started playing, Carrie got a quick smile. I instantly picked up on it, and Dave did too. And Hey, Carrie, I got to say, you always get the right music or the right thing to set the mode. So Dave and I are back in town. We both had a little vacation. You may or may not have even known that. I mean, I almost had a vacation last week.
Oh, yeah.
That we were expecting. If, those of you that were listening last week, Dave was on vacation, and he didn't run out of gas this time, so our prayers worked.
Almost.
and I got up on time this morning. Last week, like I said, I think the show starts at 11:06. I came running into the studio at 11:04, and we made it. So, but
I'm glad when I'm out of town that Matt has my back.
That's right, no matter what. So, but now your KTAR car guys are back. I'm Matt Allen, Dave Riccio here by my side. Every single Saturday, we're together in some form or fashion.
Well, we're not together, but we do the show together.
Yes. So in some form or fashion, we are together to help you with your car. So 602-277-5827 is 602-277-KTAR is how you call us. If you want to shoot us a text, you can do that at 411-923. We started off talking about oil filters, air filters more particularly, where you don't need to get it changed all the time. You don't even need to get it checked. It's like I'm not going to talk about going to the doctor. There's a certain exam you don't really want every time you go.
Right. And not even, in your 30s, you probably don't need it,
Just don't go get the air filter exam every time, okay, Doc?
Right. We got Peter, Dan, and Randy, and a couple lines still being screened out yet. But, Matt, the seat filter, we're talking on the way down, and Matt says, what about seat filters? I'm like, seat filters, is this something I should know about? What is that for? And can you fill me in?
Well, there's some cars, you know it if you got one because you told all your friends when you got it. I got this car with air-conditioned seats.
Oh, yeah.
Some Mercedes, some Fords have them, Rovers for sure. There's just certain models. Well, guess what? Those are pumping air through the vent, through the foam in the seat, and it's coming out those little holes, and it's keeping you nice and cool. But that pickup for those filters is down on the floor where your backseat passengers are kicking up the dust in their cleats from the soccer game or the baseball game. So those filters get plugged up too. So there is a seat filter.
I bet my wife wishes you could reverse the fan on that filter and actually would suck the air through the seat, through the filter, out into the car.
Well, yeah, right where in the center of the seat where you put your butt, if they had just a
little suction device.
You would want one of the carbon activated filters on that one, though. So there's a lot of filters. We'll get to transmission filters some other time, but the point is you don't need an air filter every time you go in. You don't need it checked, but
for sure. Well, Rob and Ivan also showed up, but we're going to go with Peter. He's got a 2008 Ford Fusion. How can we help you, Peter? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Thank you. My temperature gauge is pegged out maximum hot. I noticed it actually a couple months ago on my way home from work at night, and I was about a mile from my gas station. I was going to gas up anyway. Pulled in, raised the hood, didn't notice any steam or unusual heat or unusual noises. Gassed up, went home. Everything ran okay. The next morning, started the car, and the temperature gauge pegged out immediately.
As soon as you started the car?
Before I started the car, I opened the overflow bucket for the radiator. That's right. The bucket says not to open it when it's hot. So the next morning, I did open the bucket. It was fine. The radiator fluid looked okay. Level was fine. Then I started the car, and the needle pegged out.
Is your air conditioner working okay?
Yes, it is.
Sounds to me, Dave, like we don't really have a problem with the car overheating, because the key word was, you said a couple months ago. That thing would have been like Chernobyl and melted down by now.
A long time ago.
So
and then he also said it happened immediately after he started the car. It was already pegged up to the needle. And if that needle wasn't there, it sounds like it would be a fan. It would blow some air, spin around.
Right. So pretty simple thing what's happening. There's a coolant temperature sensor that's either telling a computer, which is then relaying the signal to the instrument cluster, or there's a sensor that just is direct communication with the temperature gauge, and depending on what it's reading, it's going to tell that gauge to read whatever temperature. There's a correlation. You could have a bad gauge. You could have a temperature sensor that's grounded out, that's pegging the gauge. You could have an intermittent wire that's chafed a little bit.
And even computer problems can cause that, too.
Yeah. So you can't, someone say, well, what's the worst case? Well, I don't know. It might need a temperature sensor. It might need a $900 computer. I mean,
right.
Who knows?
Yeah. But the good news here is I don't think the car's overheating and we didn't go blow a head gasket or something like that.
Exactly.
It's got all the telltale signs that the cooling system is actually intact with a lack of a good sensation thing.
Yeah, and the fact that the air conditioner is working, it kind of lets you know the fans are working and there's just a certain way. So I think if you just go get that, tell them, I don't think my car is overheating. I think I have a faulty temperature gauge. That's where I would be starting, Peter. And if you don't have a shop that you go to, bumper-to-bumperradio.com. You probably find one there. And if there's not one close, call the closest one, and they'll give you a lead somewhere, I'm sure.
For sure. Let's go with Dan in Goodyear. He's got a 2013 Scion XD. How can we help you, Dan? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I just bought the car 3 days.
Are you there, Dan?
Wow, I'm 6'8" and about the only small car I'll fit in. And I got a really good price on the car because the lady who owned it before me, she owned it and she took it to a big chain tire place, and they came up with over $2,000 worth of repairs that they said she needed.
Mm-hmm.
$2,000 under Blue Book value, so that's great for me. And then among the list, they said that she needed to have her throttle body replaced, and that she needed to have her transmission fluid flushed, and she needed to have new brakes done. She had this whole long list, and she was just overwhelmed by it, and she couldn't afford it, so I was like, well, I'll buy the car versus somebody else. So the car drives fine for me. It's a 5-speed. I don't know what you would flush for the transmission other than maybe they meant gear oil.
Right.
I looked in the owner's manual. It says under extreme conditions, you got to replace gear oil every, I think it was 60,000. The car's got 78 on it. So
cool.
Any opinion on replacing a throttle body? I know you can clean it with like a sprayer. I don't know if you guys recommend. I think you just disconnect
Dan,
an intake and spray some spray in there.
We're coming up on break here. Now, as far as replacing the throttle body, is there a problem? If you're not having a problem, I don't see replacing a throttle body. It might need service, for sure.
Yeah, you know what, Dave? We need to come back to this. This is a whole nother conversation about that car and about how that woman got her list. And I think we had bad communication. And I think Dan got a good deal on his car, but I think something else happened in the background we need to talk about.
We'll be right back.
Honesty and integrity. It's the only option. Hi, Spencer Doucet for H&I Automotive. H is for honesty, and I is for integrity. We built our business on these two principles. We opened our first shop in Mesa in 2009, and with the support from our loyal customers, we've now grown to a second, state-of-the-art location in Gilbert. 2 locations, same principles. Quality service at a great value, backed by an industry-leading 60-month, 60,000-mile parts and labor warranty. Check us out at HIAutomotive.com.
Looking for that last perfect getaway for summer? Look no further than Bunker to Bunker, the golf show's next tour stop at the spectacular JW Marriott Desert Ridge Resort and Spa on Saturday, August 25th, benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital. An incredible value. The 2-person scramble on the famous Faldo course is loaded with special prizes. Lunch and a coupon for another round of golf, all for just $95. Make it a stay-and-play weekend with room specials starting as low as $99 per night. Space is limited, so register today at bunkergolf.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Riccio, owner of Tri-City Transmission. Well, you may have come to know us for being a transmission expert. What you may not know is that our customers regularly ask us why we don't perform repairs to the rest of the vehicle. You guys are so great. Why work on just the transmission? Well, the requests became hard to ignore, and 3 years ago, we began to build an infrastructure to perform general automotive repair. We weren't going to do general repair if we couldn't be great at it. So in 2013, we began the soft opening of Tri-City Auto Repair on Smith Road. We brought on ASE Master Technicians to work side by side with our Master Transmission Technicians. The combination of the best in both of these trades has created a synergy that allows us not only to fix your transmission, but to service and repair your whole car, and to do it well. Let's face it, the modern car has become so integrated. We believe all of our expert knowledge puts us ahead of the curve. Find us at TricityTransmission.com or TempeAutoRepairShop.com. That's TempeAutoRepairShop.com.
Arizona's news station.
KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
KTAR News Time, 11:30. I'm Mark Carlson. An Arizona fire crew is heading to California to help battle a devastating wildfire that has killed 2 and forced thousands of people out of their homes. The Superstition Fire Medical District says wildland crews could spend 2 weeks in California fighting nasty wildfires. Meanwhile, the fast-growing wildfire in Redding, California, has burned 500 structures since it flared up Thursday night.
A very active firefight around me here as firefighters are trying to save homes. It's actually a deer running right in front of me right now, trying to get away from these flames. Firefighters have moved in. There is fire on both sides of this road as they're trying to stop the flames from taking out these homes. A lot of fire around here. They're working to battle these flames.
That's ABC's Alex Stone reporting from the fire line in Redding. Traffic and weather now. Here's Mike Daniels in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Thank you, Mark. Got a crash off to the side, 10 westbound, right there at 35th Avenue to watch out for. And a couple accidents in Mesa, one on Dobson Road north of Southern, the other on Elm School Road north of the 60. This report brought to you by Valley Toyota Dealers. Summer's a great time to get a new Toyota with low APR financing and special cashback offers. Visit your Valley Toyota Dealers or valleytoyotadealers.com today. I'm Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
KTAR weather for the Valley today, partly cloudy with a high of 108. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 87. Tomorrow, partly cloudy again and not as hot. A high of 106. It's 96 degrees currently in Fountain Hills. Weather is brought to you by Howard Air. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Air. I'm Mark Carlson on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
On hot summer days like this, clouds can quickly build into powerful and severe monsoon storms.
It is really coming down in Mesa, as you can hear. There are streets closed, traffic lights out.
When monsoon storms hit, check back with us 3, 4, 5 times a day for the latest Storm Central updates and storm watch alerts from Arizona's news and monsoon station, KTAR News 92.3 FM and the KTAR News app.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20+ years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Looking for that last perfect getaway for summer? Look no further than Bunker to Bunker, the golf show's next tour stop at the spectacular JW Marriott Desert Ridge Resort and Spa on Saturday, August 25th, benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital. An incredible value. The 2-person scramble on the famous Faldo course is loaded with special prizes, lunch and a coupon for another round of golf, all for just $95. Make it a stay-and-play weekend with room specials starting as low as $99 per night. Space is limited, so register today at bunkergolf.com.
Ouch! Being out of tune is no fun, and maybe even a little painful. Hi, this is Lee Weatherby, owner of Accurate Automotive in Mesa. At Accurate, we are a family-owned and operated one-stop automotive repair shop that specializes in building long-term relationships that are in tune with your needs, not ours. We've been recognized nationally as one of the top shops in the country, but for over 20 years, our priority has stayed focused on providing quality automotive service and repair at a fair price. I invite you to come in and see the difference an in-tune relationship can make for you and your car. With our free courtesy inspection, a $49 value, we feel it is well worth our investment in you because we believe good long-term relationships start early with your first walk through our doors. Accurate Automotive, home of friends serving friends, just off Broadway and Robson in Mesa since 1992. For more information, check us out online at accurateautomotiveaz.com today.
Fix it or forget it. This is the show that'll help you decide what to do with your car. Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we're helping you fix your car, get you pointed in the right direction so somebody can fix your car. And we've got Charlie. We're going to finish up with Dan, some of his comments. Randy's been home a long time. We'll get to Randy, Ivan, and Rob. But I got to tell you, Matt, today was a little bit of a rough week at Tri-City Transmission. One of my technicians was out. He was at a stoplight. Somebody come racing up from behind, a young kid, texting, screaming along, doesn't see the car stopped in front of him, slams in the back of my technician.
Oopsie daisy.
So now, my technician, when you get slammed from behind, it forces your foot to come off the brake pedal. So he slammed into the car in front of him. So anyway, I never like to get the phone call, hey, one of the cars has been in an accident. It's always a weird phone call, so I got to call the customer and I say, hey, man, your cooling fan's working. We were out on a test drive. Your AC works great, but there's some big dents in the car that we're going to have to take care of. Here's what happened. But the good news is I've got a great body shop to take it to. We've got the collision team at bumpertobumperradio.com. And for me, the collision team that the shop that I use is Campus Body Salon because they're right down the street from me, and I've known Leo my entire life, so I go see Leo. But if I didn't go see Leo, I'd go see Dave at First Class Auto Body, which is in Scottsdale. And if Dave was busy, I'd go all the way up and see Kevin at I-17 Collision because all of them are going to do a great job. And when I give that car back to my customer, they're going to say, you know what, I can't tell anything happened.
Exactly.
It's better than new, and not only that, they threw a coat of wax on the whole car and the interior shampoo. The car's in great shape. So
you're setting some pretty high expectations there.
Sorry about that, Leo.
Hey, free carpet shampoo with all body work at Bumper to Bumper Radio Collision Team Shop. No, they really do a good job. And I mean, Kevin over at I-17, that's the only place I've referred cars for 20 years. I mean, he and I were the guys in the low and the totem pole when we met. I mean, you used to wash cars for him.
Yeah, I worked for him a long time ago.
But the point is, they're good guys. They do a good job. It's the same thing with whether it's the collision. You're going to need them one day. Mm-hmm. Just like your battery's going to die one day. One day you're going to need an Interstate Battery. Another day you're going to need a body shop that's going to do the work for it. And you got to remember, it's your choice where you get to take the car. Insurance companies are going to give suggestions, but ultimately you get to choose. So
those are just suggestions. Mm-hmm. You do get to choose, and there's all kinds of rigmarole to try and get you to their preferred. But collision team, safe bet.
I want to get back to Dan in Goodyear though, and we're not going to bring him back on the air. But Dan brought up some good points, and we can answer this question. So if you're just joining us, he called because Dan got a smoking deal on a 2013 Scion with about 60 or 70,000 miles on it. Because the older woman who drove the car took it into the place and they did an oil change and they came out with this grocery list of things that she needed. And I haven't talked to her, but these are my words. I'm going to say she freaked out. She said, whoa, I'm not spending $2,000. That's a lot of work for the car. I got to tell you, $2,000 is not a lot on a modern car. I mean, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong.
It's half the sales tax on a new car,
But it's half the, yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So I think what happened is, there's some miscommunication because Dan thinks he needs a throttle body because he has the list of the repairs that they told her she needed. Well, she probably needed a maintenance throttle body service, which, quite honestly, the car could go its entire life and probably never get it and be okay. Mm-hmm. That's if you want to be proactive and be very preventative. We do that at my shop. And it also depends on the car. If you're driving an Audi with direct injection, we're recommending that at 40,000 miles or a Kia. But on a Scion, doesn't need that necessarily. They told her she needs a transmission flush. Well, maybe she did if she had an automatic transmission, but it's got a manual transmission.
Just drain and fill.
Yeah. But the whole point is that this woman, whether that was her regular repair shop or not, she got this list of things. And there's nothing wrong with getting the list. I give the list at my shop all the time. You come in for an inspection. It is our job to be the professional and tell you the problems with your car, just like going to the doctor. But it is also, just like going to the doctor, our responsibility to tell you don't need surgery when you don't need surgery. Or we can try some physical therapy. You don't need this yet. And I think she got scared into something, and she went and bought a car she didn't need. So good for Dan. Dan got a hell of a deal on a Scion that's going to last him a long time. He can probably go spend a few $100s on some preventative maintenance, and that's going to last him a long time.
But I think a 70,000-mile Toyota product There's hardly nothing wrong with that car.
No.
Okay, so I'm a little upset if somebody was a little overzealous. I mean, not even a lot overzealous. Scared this woman to go get a new car, and maybe she wanted. We don't really know the story, and I think she was pretty fair about it. She said, "Here's Blue Book. Here's a $2,000 estimate. Take $2,000 off." I mean, you're talking about a really straight shooter. But I think that she got scared away from the cars. And I think that happens daily when people go into auto repair shops. That's why we're here talking about filters, telling you some normals so you don't freak out when you go to the auto shop, because we don't want all that anxiety.
And
we just want you to relax.
Ask questions. I love show and tell. I mean, people probably think oh, no, I don't want to be a pain. No. I want you. You're buying something from me. You're not buying a couch. You're not buying a flat screen TV. You're buying something you can't feel and you can't touch and you really don't understand it. I want to show you what we're doing. I love to do that. And if the shop doesn't want to answer your questions, or insurance doesn't let you go in the shop, that's BS. Go find another shop.
No, or a new insurance company.
Right?
I mean, we bring people in the shop all the time, and we also want to justify what we're doing for you, because otherwise we know that you're hearing want $2,000, and we don't want you to feel like that. We want to show you what we're doing, and we're proud of what we're doing too to your car, and so we want you to see that. So,
and if you can't tell by the tone of our voice, that call got us charged up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
She got a disservice.
We're intentionally having to tone ourselves down. Yeah. So, anyway, let's go with Randy and Gilbert. Thanks for holding on the line, Randy. 2013 Dodge Challenger. How can we help you with your Challenger? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. So I have the Dodge Challenger. I've had it since it was brand new. I bought the Chrysler Max Care Bumper to Bumper lifetime warranty on it. It's been a great car. The only thing, it's got 150,000 miles on it, and the only thing I've ever done to it was I had the fuel pump went out on me. Now my question is, in order to honor the warranty and keep that in effect so they don't deny me any coverage in the future, what kind of maintenance should I be doing right now at 150,000 miles? I've had, because the schedule in the manual only goes up so far. I've had the transmission filter and screen changed out at about 70,000. So that's my question. What do you see me needing to do to honor the warranty?
Randy, have you always gone to the same shop, or have you kind of gone here and there and so on and so forth, or is it one person done all the maintenance?
Well, no, it's kind of been here and there.
Okay. Here's what I would do. First thing I want to address is on the owner's manual. Usually they're going to start off 30, 60, 90. Maybe they're going to 120 and they're ending at 150. Well, the 180 is really just the 30 plus the 50.
Yeah, you're just starting back over.
You're kind of starting back over. Part of the reason I asked if you've been going to the same place, if you have a complete service history on the car, well, the shop has that and they can look at the whole thing. So at this point, I think you use your owner's manual as a guide, but you find your regular shop, and then you go get what I call a comprehensive vehicle inspection. It's got 150,000 miles on it. Everything's out of sequence. Mm-hmm. So let's do just go find out everything about the car. Go get the annual physical. Go see the doc, tell him, put everything down. Like I always say, I step on the scale every day, and some days I really hate what it says. But we need to know so that we can adjust.
When I got back from vacation, I didn't do it for a week. I had to cleanse.
But Randy needs to know. So then what you ask the shop is, tell me everything you see wrong with the car. Tell me what I've done for what I need to do to catch up on maintenance. And what do you predict out based on what you see over the next 2 to 3 years? And by the way, here's a pile of my receipts. And Randy, expect to pay $100 for something like that, but it's a good investment.
And the other thing I would say, Randy, is go read the warranty. Most people don't read the warranty, so they don't really know what's in there. We're making a bunch of assumptions that these things all got to be done, but actually go read the warranty and see what it requires. And we should have an attorney, Matt, at Bumper to Bumper Radio that can help digest some of these warranties. But we read them all the time, and we see what the base recommendations are. And a lot of that stuff you should be able to digest yourself. So that's a great phone call, and I think everybody can benefit from that as far as staying in with their warranties. And Matt, looks like we got Ivan and Rob, and we're going to be right back.
Hi, I'm Kurt Morgan, owner of Shadow Mountain Auto Service in Phoenix. I'm also a college automotive instructor, and I've been a technician for over 30 years. In that time, I've seen all kinds of games and gimmicks in the auto repair business, the worst of which seems to be associated with transmissions. I think it's because, to most, including technicians, the inside of a transmission is a mystery. So when one of our valued customers has a transmission problem, we send them straight to Tri-City Transmission. No games, no gimmicks. That's Tri-City Transmission.
There is nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock here for Kurt's Auto Repair. I brought my nephew and general manager, Jeff Rock, to help spread the word.
Thanks, Pops. Yep, the more things change, the more they stay the same at Kurt's. Family owned and operated, our ASE Master Techs and family ethics have earned us a Perfect Better Business Bureau record for over 30 years. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue in Bell or online at mycarhurts.com.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic, if your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Hi, Kevin Rowe from I-17 Collision in Phoenix. If the bad news is you've had an accident, the good news is that with one easy click on bumpertobumperradio.com, you have the best collision, body, and paint shops to help you get back on the road quickly, safely, and with a repair you can trust.
Dave Lindgren here from First Class Auto Body in Scottsdale. Don't be fooled. Some insurance companies try to convince you that you must use their approved shops for your repairs. Not true. Arizona law allows you to choose the facility that's right for you.
And I'm Leo Petrozella from Campus Body Salon in Tempe. Having an accident is stressful enough. Dealing with the repair process shouldn't be. Appearance is important, but it's critical that structural integrity and safety are top priority.
3 convenient locations and one united team. With almost 120 years of experience and expertise between us, we are solely focused on taking care of you while working with your insurance company. The Collision Team at bumpertobumperradio.com.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. We're finishing up phone calls. Rob, Ivan, Frank, and Charlie. It looks like we're going to go with Rob out there in Gold Canyon. I wonder if it's hot out there.
The phones right away, huh, Dave?
Yeah, right. for sure.
They've been patient. Where are we going? We're taking a trip
to
Gold Canyon.
I hear it's nice out there this time of year.
Where the heck is Gold Canyon? Now,
Rob,
right down here in line 5. Rob, there he is.
Hello.
Hey, Rob, what's up?
Oh, hi. How are you? Thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
I have a 06 Toyota Corolla, and one night I was going about 60 miles an hour on Highway 60, and a coyote came in the middle of the road and froze in my headlights. So I smashed on the brakes, but I couldn't stop, and I hit him. And I thought my airbags are gonna pop, but they didn't, fortunately. But what happened is the animal went under my car, rolled, and cut the wires that connects my oxygen sensor under the exhaust.
Okay.
So I had to get a new oxygen sensor, and I connected it to the clip that goes inside the car. But when I reset to get the check engine light to go out, and after I drive it for a mile, it comes back on, and the oxygen sensor that I put on it was a brand new one. So I'm kind of.
So you're getting.
I have no idea.
You're getting a code. What is the code that you're getting?
I get a code that's something about the oxygen sensor, heater.
Okay. Well, we can address it. So probably what's happened, and I've seen this a lot, not from coyotes going underneath their car or hitting something in the road, but back when the scrap yards were paying these thieves that were stealing catalytic converters, they were cutting wires that were going to the oxygen sensor. So if you had a really good thief, there's nothing like getting a good thief to steal your car, because if you get it back, it's not really damaged that bad. But a bad thief really screws it up.
Right.
So what happened probably is that tugged on that wire and ripped it. So the oxygen sensor comes with a 6 or 8 inch little whip of wiring harness. Mm-hmm. It's the other side that goes in through a grommet, probably goes up underneath the seat. And if it's the heater circuit,
mm-hmm.
you may have a broken wire underneath there that you need to find, probably just inside the connector. Most likely is the problem. Now, I'll tell you one thing on a Toyota, Oxygen sensor heated circuit failures, see them all the time in the winter. Guess what the problem is? Bad battery.
There you go, right back to Interstate.
Go right back to the battery. But that's not necessarily this problem. I'm sure that there's a wire that even got pulled out of that, they call it a weather pack connector, one of those heater circuit wires. So you sound a little bit handy. That's where you need to be looking.
I'd give him a little more than a little bit.
Yeah, well, we figured it out. Cleaned up the coyote fur.
Thanks for the call, Rob. Let's go with Ivan in Phoenix. He's got a 2007 Toyota Prius. How can we help you, Ivan? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for what you do.
You're welcome.
I have a 07 Prius. It has 280,000 miles. I replaced my hybrid battery about 3 months ago, and it was giving me 48 miles per gallon. But then I noticed I haven't changed the spark plugs, so I replaced them. And now it started gradually going down on my MPGs from 48 to 47 to 43 to 40. Now I'm at 37 miles per gallon. So, and I noticed that when I took one of the spark plugs, it was really black. I don't know because they haven't been replaced or, but just one of them, the rest would just normally look like wear and tear. So I don't know if that contributes to that. So what would you recommend?
Well, first I would say, what kind of spark plugs did you put in the car?
I bought them from Toyota.
Okay.
So I went to Toyota.
Okay, good.
And I got the ones that came with it.
So you've got the right spark plugs in the car. So that's good. You've got they came with Nip and Denzos. Good thing. Now, reading the spark plugs is a whole other story. It's just like replacing tires on a car. You look at the tires, it gives you insight into the alignment or the shocks and such. But that could be an indicator of a problem with a fuel injector. If it's one spark plug is black, it might be using a little bit of oil or fuel. And the problem with that we see with some of the Prius engines is it's just like taking short trips. They're not always running. They run for a little bit. They don't get up to operating temperature. So we see real concerns with fuel injectors getting dirty. So it's not it wouldn't be a bad idea to go to a shop and maybe have a fuel injection cleaning service done. You might check the miles per gallon. I mean, if you didn't use a Toyota factory battery and used the aftermarket, there's only a couple people that make the aftermarket hybrid battery. They're really not that good. Some of them are defective right off the shelf, so that could be contributing a little bit. But I think those would be two good places to start, Dave.
I know you work on hybrids at your shop, and I work on hybrids at my shop. But one of the shops, a lot of people don't know this. We got a shop at bumpertobumperradio.com that really has taken a focus and an interest in hybrids, and that would be Glenn over at Good Works Auto Repair. They're in Tempe, immediately right off the 101, and I believe it's Broadway and the 101. And call up to Glenn over there, and he'd be a good guy because he just like lives that hybrid stuff. So good luck with that, Ivan. Thanks for the call, and we are going to go with Charlie in Chandler. He's got looks like a 2010 Ford F-150. Okay. How can we help you, Charlie? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Ooh.
Hey, Charlie.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
You bet. How can we help you on
Are
your?
You there?
Yep, we're sure here. How can we help you on your F-150?
So I have a Ford F-150. It's a 2010, and it has about 66,000 miles on it. And just yesterday, I was driving down the road, and I went to stop, and the front end started shaking a little bit, and kind of pulling to the right. And then when I got on the freeway, and I was going down the freeway, I could feel it pulling to the right more, and I got off the freeway, got out and looked at it a little bit, really didn't see anything. And we just recently went on a 3,000-mile kind of road trip, and I didn't have any issues with it. And we've been back for about 2 weeks. So I was just calling to get an opinion, really.
What caught me a little bit, first you said stepping on the brakes and it went to the right, but now with no braking, it's pulling a little bit to the right as well?
Yes, and if I'm just like I'm not putting gas on it, I just let it guide down the road, and I take my hand off the wheel, it'll move to the right, go to the right. And also, if I get to if I start speeding up a little bit, it starts the steering wheel shakes a little bit, starts shimmying back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, we got a tire issue, pretty clear.
Yeah, we're starting to have a tire maybe starting to separate, and more than likely that's what it's related to. But tire alignment are going to be the things I'm going to.
Charlie,
Yeah,
Charlie, do you do repairs yourself on the car, or do you go to a regular shop?
Well, for the tires, I got them all at Discount Tire. They're new tires, so they barely have they don't even have 15,000 miles on them. And I'm looking at it now.
Doesn't mean they're bad. Sometimes they're bad out of the box or right off the shelf.
So here's what I want you to do, Charlie. Like Dave said, it doesn't matter if they're new. I mean, you get it's not an indictment on the tire or a discount or anything like that. I mean, sometimes you just get a defect. But a lot of times what we'll do in our shop, people come in all the time and think they need an alignment, and oftentimes they do, and I would still suggest getting an alignment if you've never had one. But the easiest thing to do, number one, you want to check your tire pressures. I mean, if you've got 20 pounds in the right front and 40 in the left front, it's going to pull to the right. But the easiest thing to do is just cross-rotate the tires. You could take it to Discount and say, hey, guys, I think I've got a bad tire. They may have a process for figuring that out. But if you tell them, hey, if you'll just switch the left to the right, right to the left on the front only, and I'll go drive it and report back to you. If the pull changes with the tire, voila.
There you have it, for sure. Well, we're going to get to you, Frank, off air, but I want to address a couple of these texts, Matt. Someone's got a Cadillac, 2005 Cadillac Escalade. They want to know if they got a cabin filter. I would almost be willing to bet there's a cabin filter in that vehicle. But it's tough, you know.
That's right around the year.
Yeah.
Where, like if you had a Suburban, which is kind of the same thing, Cadillac obviously. The Suburban didn't have it, but the Escalade did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then some cars didn't even come with a cabin air filter. But aftermarket, or you can go, Nissan's the popular one, you can go to the dealer, you buy the lid or the door, and you buy the filter, you cut out where it's perforated, and now you've installed your cabin air filter that you can start to change. The easiest way to know if you have one is to go to the parts catalog and look it up.
For sure. Next one here is 04 F-150, check engine light on, went down to Acme Auto Parts. They said mass airflow sensor. He went home, cleaned it, but the light's still on. Is he looking at a new mass airflow sensor?
Oof, depends on what the code was.
That's right. Yeah, exactly what the code is. We would digest that, but 14-year-old vehicle. I'm sorry. It's not 4. I'm off a 12-year-old vehicle.
No.
12-year-old vehicle.
It is 14, Dave. 2004, 2008.
Oh yeah, 14-year-old vehicle.
Hey, I know
it's not out of the norm that it could need a mass airflow sensor.
We're in Southern California vacation, so you've got 7 days to cleanse still. So we're okay there. No, you need to find out what that code is and do some diagnosis. I had a buddy who went to Acme and they said, hey, you need some. It's got codes for oxygen sensors. You need a couple O2 sensors. Well, ended up having 2 bad catalytic converters.
Acme Auto Parts is not always right. And generally when they give you information, they do sell mass airflow sensors, so right or wrong, you're probably going to end up buying one.
One last text, and don't worry, Frank, we are going to pick you up after we end the show. One more text says, is there somewhere near Peoria or Sun City to go? And the answer is yes. Dave's Car Care, 51st Avenue in Peoria. Been there 39 years or something like that. If you're further out in Sun City and you know a really good shop in the west side of Sun City, we'd like to hear from them. Maybe you can refer them to us, and they'd like to join the Bumper to Bumper team.
Have a safe weekend.